Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today is a very exciting day for Hearthstone. We got the announcement of the next expansion from Year of the Hydra. It's March of the Lich King, shocking everyone. No one saw this coming. They're adding Deathknights as a playable class. I do think that while I was watching the announcement video, it was like okay, Deathknights. Wouldn't it have been so much more exciting if none of us actually saw it coming, you know? Like, wouldn't it have been so much nicer if we didn't actually know that Deathknights were around the corner? I don't know how possible it is to stop spoilers anymore. I just feel like there's always spoilers whenever a game comes out, whatever. There's not a lot you can really do about it. I wish there was, though, because it would have been so much more exciting to just get hit with this, right at the announcement. Wouldn't that have been so much more fun? Anyways, that said, the fact that we knew it was coming did not take away at all from how cool it is to get it. I was really worried when they were talking about classes and adding them to the game for a long time, because I don't think that Hearthstone needs more classes, and if they were going to add one, it would just be because I want to play Deathknights. But they were talking about maybe adding Monk instead, or adding a class that's not even from World of Warcraft, both of which I think is like, as long as Deathknights aren't in already, I don't see the reason to do it. But they did add Deathknights. Arthas is going to be the playable hero, and let's check out the patch notes. So the Lich King returns to Hearthstone, leading his undead army and the new Death Knight class in an all-out assault on the elven city of Silvermoon. The Blood Elves won't go down easily. They are as thirsty for combat as they are for the magic of the Sunwell that they draw power from. As the corpses pile up, the Death Knight army swells, and so begins the March of the Lich King. So here you can see we have the board from the March of the Lich King. It looks very frozen, looks very Silvermoon. The March of the Lich King will launch worldwide on December 6th with 145 new cards. You can find the full March of the Lich King reveal schedule and all cards that have already been revealed by visiting the card library here. I'll link this in the channel description if you want to check this out yourself. Check back frequently. The page will be updated with new cards as they are revealed. New Death Knight class. The Death Knight is a new permanent addition to Hearthstone coming with March of the Lich King. Death Knights command the undead with their new hero power, Ghoul Charge. For 2 mana, summon a 1/1 Ghoul with charge that dies at the end of your turn. The Ghoul does double duty because the Death Knight gain a corpse whenever a friendly minion dies. They can spend corpses to power up their cards. Okay, so the Ghoul Charge vaguely functions like the Mage hero power. So it is 2 mana for deal 1 to a minion or your opponent's hero because the Ghoul has charge. It is like strictly worse because taunts can get in the way as far as like just pure function as the Mage hero power. A lot of cards that are already in Hearthstone care about minions dying, but the Death Knight mechanic cares about minions dying as well. So every time a friendly minion dies, you get a corpse counter, and that goes right underneath the mana. I'm sure we'll get to see it later on in this patch notes, and if not, it's just right under the mana. A little counter is keeping track, and then your Death Knight cards will consume the corpses from your corpse pile to do additional effects. So like Army of the Dead here, raise up to 5 corpses as 2/2 Risen Ghouls with Rush. So if you have 5 corpses, you get 5 2/2 Ghouls with Rush. And then Corpse Explosion is 5 mana for a detonated corpse to deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. If they are still alive, repeat this. So if your opponent has their maximum health thing is 3 health, this will detonate, consuming a corpse and dealing 1 damage to the enemy board. And then it will detonate again if you have another corpse. So if you have 2 corpses, it detonates twice, leaving the 3 health thing on board. But if you have at least 3 corpses, it'll detonate all 3 times, clearing the 3 health minion. So that's kind of how it works. If you had 10 corpses and your opponent has a 10 health minion, it'll clear that too. It's an interesting board clear. But yeah, so the Ghoul Charge is obviously meant to like match around the power level of the other 2 mana hero powers, but actually have added function alongside the corpse counter. Death Knight is a powerful, flexible class powered by 3 runes: Blood, Frost, and Unholy. The Death Knight's chosen devotion to those runes determines which cards the Death Knight can put in their deck. You can learn all the details about the new class effects and special deck building rules in the dedicated Death Knight introduction article. All right, I guess I'll click that. So here you have the corpses. So you can see the little counters right there underneath the mana symbol. And then here's the runes here. So the runes work like kind of like mana from MTG, but not really. So let's go look at like scroll down and find, do they have, yeah, here we go. So you can see here, you would choose in the deck building section which runes you want to have access to. So it can be any combination of Blood, Frost, and Holy. You pick which runes you want to use, and then the card will have here the amount of runes it takes to run it. So if you're running 2 Unholy, you can play Army of the Dead and Battlefield Necromancer in your deck. But if you're only running 2, you can't run Lord Marigar. He requires you to go Unholy, Unholy, Unholy. The more you specialize, the more powerful cards you get to include, but also the more restricted your variety is. They're actually including a bunch of extra Death Knight cards in the set so that you can actually make use of this variety. There's always going to be more Death Knight cards than any other class because Death Knight itself is multiple classes pretty much. And that is probably the most exciting aspect of Death Knights for me. I really like those additional deck building requirements. There's a lot more to mess with because you have to tinker around with the runes. But also as a content creator, I really want to play just Death Knight until I get 1,000 wins, but that could be very restrictive because who wants to see me play just Death Knight for months? Like just the one, like 2 or 3 decks that work, you know? But Death Knight itself being multiple classes within gives me a lot of variety to work with. So both as a player and as a content creator, I'm really excited for this. If I'm able to swing the just Death Knight until I have 1,000 wins portrait, this really helps with that. So new minion types, undead and dual type minions. The Lich King commands the Undead Scourge, and these unholy masses will be Hearthstone's next new minion type. Undead. In March of the Lich King, undead minions will appear in neutral and in the classes that have aligned with the Lich King. Ooh, interesting. Many cards synergize with undead, triggering bonus effects if a friendly undead died after your last turn, meaning either on your opponent's last turn or earlier on your current turn. In March of the Lich King, some minions will have 2 minion types. For undead minions, that might be a second type to represent what they were before they became undead. There will be retroactive additions with both undead and second minion types being added to many older minions as well as those in the expansion. So as you can see here, we have an undead dragon and we have an undead beast. So they finally added dual types, which is really cool. They went back and did some. One that sticks out is Patches, is now a demon and a pirate. I was always like, why isn't he a demon? He's an observer. Like, he should be multiple types. And they finally added that. So that has applications all across Hearthstone. So like Cookie is now a Murloc and a pirate as well. It's pretty cool. Returning keyword, Reborn. Some undead have Reborn, a returning keyword mechanic that will now be a regular part of the game going forward. The first time a Reborn minion dies, it is resummoned with 1 health remaining, the perfect keyword for representing pesky undead minions and for pumping up your corpse counter. So they made another Rager. It's a 3-mana 5/4 with Battlecry die. So as far as pure gameplay mechanics, this functions just like Magma Rager. It's a 3-mana 5/1 because the initial 5/4 body dies immediately. But for Death Knights, you get the corpse counter. And if you were going to resummon an undead, it's now a resummon 5/4 with Reborn, which is kind of good. And also, this is the second copy of Cursed Disciple for Jungle Giants Druid. And it'll immediately play both 5s as soon as you play it from your hand. So Jungle Giants Druid is not going to be made real by this card, but I've always wanted a second, round of Cursed Disciples to make that happen more consistently. So when the set comes out, you can expect me to do something with that. New keyword, Mana Thirst. The Blood Elves draw more power from the Sunwell the longer they hold off the Scourge advance. Cards with Mana Thirst get more powerful once you reach a specified amount of mana. You don't have to spend the mana to power up the cards, you just need access to it. The idea here is, as the game goes on, kind of like level up, these cards will become more powerful. So, for example, Arcane Bolts, for 1 mana you deal 2 damage, but then with Mana Thirst, 8. So starting as soon as you've had 8 mana, deal 3 damage instead. It works very similarly to level up in that you just have to get to the mana and then you get the effect. New login reward available now. The Blood Elves aren't the only ones able to draw power from the Sunwell. Log into Hearthstone to start preparing for the March of the Lich King with your complimentary the Sunwell legendary spell. The Sunwell is Hearthstone's first collectible neutral spell. Though there are some who struggle to control its power, the Sunwell's wild magic can offer you anything your heart desires. Add it to your collection and see what the Sunwell has in store for you. So this is 9 mana holy spell. It's neutral, first neutral spell. Fill your hand with random spells, and it costs 1 less for each other card in your hand. So if your hand is empty, it costs 9. If your hand is full, it costs 0, which is interesting. I don't know what to make with it. I played with it a bunch today, and it's kind of like a little, it's both awkward and interesting. I don't know. I don't think that this is up to the power level of some of the last few free legendaries we've gotten. You know, we got Drekthar, Okani, and Renathal all in a row, so that's kind of hard to beat. I did make a deck with this in every class, and once we're done going through the patch notes, I will go over those. They're a mix of fun and vaguely viable decks as usual, so maybe you'll find something that speaks to you and you can have fun with the Sunwell on Wild Ladder. New signature cards and signature golden packs. Signature is a new cosmetic quality that cards can have, like gold or diamond, with stylized full art images. Starting in patch 25.0 for March of the Lich King, the signature cards will all feature an icy sepia style, evoking the Lich King's power over frost and undead. The art style of signature cards within each expansion will match their respective expansion style, and the card frame for future signature cards might also change from time to time. That means signature cards from future sets will look different from these ones to evoke different tones and styles. Signature cards can't be crafted or disenchanted. They can only be opened in packs or earned through special means. There are a total of 18 signature cards coming with the launch of March of the Lich King, including 15 legendary cards. 2 of the legendary cards will be available on the Tavern Pass, and the 3 non-legendary cards will be earnable for free as part of an event with expansion launch. After the launch of the March of the Lich King, the other 13 legendary signature cards can be opened in standard packs, class packs, March of the Lich King packs, and new March of the Lich King signature golden packs. Signature golden packs are like current golden packs, but they have a chance to include signature cards instead of only golden cards. And they have much better overall odds of opening a legendary card. The March of the Lich King pre-purchase mega bundle includes 2 random March of the Lich King signature legendary cards and 5 March of the Lich King signature golden packs. Signature golden packs will also replace golden packs in the in-game shop for all future expansions, starting with March of the Lich King. So I'm very torn on this. On the one hand, the cosmetic looks great. I don't know if they show... Looks like they don't show an example of it here, but they did in the announcement video. They showed what they're going to look like, and they look really cool. They remind me a lot of the full arts from MTG, like the borderless cards. But what I don't like is the inherent randomness to acquiring them. This is just like Hearthstone moving more and more towards the mobile monetization, where you can only get things that you really want by buying mass quantities of them and hoping to roll into them. It's nice in that I think it's cool to have more alternate arts in Hearthstone. It's not nice in that they aren't available to you as you'd like. You know, you don't have the opportunity to customize your deck in a way that reflects you with these. It's just kind of, you have the ones that you happen to get. The video game world doesn't need more of that. I think that that's kind of lame. If these were all like $5 each to change the style of your legendary card, then I would be really excited for these. They'd be really cool. I might even buy them all. Them being like random alternate art versions of stuff is, I think it's a bummer. But let's see the odds. Maybe the odds are really good. I haven't checked out the odds yet. So when opening packs of cards, you will get a signature legendary card in 181 packs on average. So if you buy both pre-orders, you can basically expect to get one out of your packs. Oh, and once you have all the signature legendaries, once you would roll a signature legendary, you roll a golden legendary instead. That's kind of cool. So it's about the same drop rate as a golden legendary. And I don't know if they share a timer. That's kind of cool that it gives you an extra chance to get a swag card, though. That's kind of nice. From golden packs and signature golden packs, so signature golden packs only. Signature legendary cards are in 7 packs on average. All right, that's a little better. That means if you get 5, you're kind of likely to get one. It makes golden packs a little bit more interesting. I might actually start considering those bundles again. Okay, overall not too bad. That placates me a little bit. I still don't like that there's no inevitability, right? Like you're gonna get the one you get. I think Hearthstone has been missing a discover a legendary instead of pulling a specific one for a while. Like, how much nicer would it be when you pull a legendary if it gave you 3 options? You got to pick from one, whichever one is most useful to you, instead of getting the worst legendary and having to wait 39 packs to get another one. Anyways, but yeah, that's not as bad as it could be. I can be not too upset at that, even if it still isn't optimal. Pre-purchase Mega Bundle. The March of the Lich King Mega Bundle includes 80 March of the Lich King card packs, 5 signature golden March of the Lich King card packs, 2 random March of the Lich King signature legendary cards, the entire Path of Arthas set, and Lorthamar hero skin and card back. The entire Path of Arthas set, they're adding a ton of Death Knight cards to the core set, as well as adding a small adventure for Arthas lore that will reward you even more Death Knight cards. So it's if you remember the one for Illidan where you unlocked the initiate set at the end of that, it's kind of like that, except this time it's not free. They are giving you a ton of free Death Knight cards though. It's not like they're not giving you a bunch of free Death Knight stuff. They're adding like 60 cards or something like that to the core set. So you'll have plenty to work with in that regard for free. But what I really love about this, because you know how much of a bummer it is to pre-order the expansion and then you didn't get the Tavern Pass? They're throwing in the Arthas adventure into the Mega Bundle. So if you're getting the Mega Bundle, you still get to get the Arthas adventure and you don't have to pay extra money on top of that. You know, like they're not adding a bunch of extra money that you have to get to the expansion. It does not come with the mini bundle. So mini bundle is 2 regular legendary cards, 60 packs, a card back. So yeah, all in all, really excited to get this expansion. This is the type of thing that I really look forward to in Hearthstone. Like I love to see heavy nostalgia sets, and especially, you know, like Lich King's my favorite character, so it's nice to see him come back. Something else, the Knights of the Frozen Throne set is now part of standard until the expansion comes out. If you're like eager to play with Lich King stuff, now you have a new format to play Knights of the Frozen Throne things. Just the whole set is just for free, added to core just until the set comes out. So starting right now, you get in there and Spreading Plague, Lich King, all the Death Knights. You can play Big Priest with Neptulon in standard now. Pillager is in standard, so like there's a lot of stuff you can do in standard with the Knights of the Frozen Throne set if you're looking for something to switch it up, tide you over until the set comes out. Speaking of tiding you over until the set comes out, something else. Okay, so you can't really see it because my camera. I'll just turn myself off here for a second. There's now a new event style. Instead of it just being that legendary spell, your spell book will turn into this stamp when there's an event happening. During an event, if you click on the top thing here, it'll show you what the event is. So here we have like the event specific quests, and you can tab through, you know, what the rewards are. So as we complete these stones, we're going to start getting packs, and I guess these are Battlegrounds emotes. Here is a Banshee Tyrande. I actually think that this skin looks sick. Yeah, they've been killing it with skins recently. That looks amazing. So yeah, when there's a special event going on, there's now going to be special event quests to complete, and then you'll earn these awards over the course of it. So it's just like an extra round of a quest to do. Oh, and instead of the fourth slot here, you have like a preview of this other tab. So it lets you know like what you got going on over here. Still get your all in one spot. All right, so this is a wild deck for the Sunwell in every class. If any of these speak to you, I will have a link to the deck codes in the description. You can click on that and pick the one that you thought was interesting, or all the ones that you thought was interesting, load them up and take them out to ladder. First up, we have Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is always a toughie in Wild, but I think this is all right. So we have the Sunwell. This is going to be in all these decks. The idea behind putting the Sunwell in a Relic Demon Hunter list is we can discount the Sunwell. So either by School of Gul'dan or by Relic of Distortions, it'll discount the Sunwell and you get all that extra value. We do have an Il'gynoth backup win condition that also works with our discounts. And if we ever stick a big enough board of Relic of Phantasms, for example, we do have the Felfire Deadeye to make Kurtrus go crazy with that. So this is a Demon Hunter deck. If you want to play some Demon Hunter with a Sunwell, here you go. I actually think that this deck is kind of cool without the Sunwell, so if you want to cut that and put in something like Xylag or Lotheb, you can try that too. For Druid, we have Yogg Druid. So it's a very Yoggy spell, right? So it's 9 mana for fill your hand with a bunch of random stuff. It's very similar to Yogg in that way. And with Guff, you have all the extra mana to make use of the spells once you've put them in your hand. And if you're playing a lot of spells with Sunwell, then you have a lot of extra spells in your spell pool for the Yogg-Saron's. And if you have Yogg-Saron, you want to have your Jades, so you're going to get your Yogg count up that way. I actually think I had the most fun playing Sunwell in this deck today. So if you're only going to play just one, I recommend Druid. I'm also biased. Like I really like Druid right now. Then we have Questline Hunter. So very similar to the Sunwell is Rak'dalar. And if you're going to play Rockdalar, you might as well play Questline Hunter, because Hunter archetype that benefits the most from you playing a bunch of spells. So it's the same as always. You just run all the damaging spells and try to get your Tavish online so you can do all that extra damage, but you have 2 refill spells. So once you get your Tavish up, you can refill with Rockdalar, you can refill with the Sunwell. That's the basic idea. Then we have Reno Quest Mage. So the Sunwell fills your hand with random spells, and Quest Mage wants you to play random spells. Sunwell is a pretty late game card, so you want the slower Quest Mage archetype to get you to the late game to make use of your late game card. So I ended up putting the Frostlich Jaina in here just because you have it for free now. So this is a slower mage deck. You could try it while it's free. Maybe if you're looking for a place to use a Death Knight, you can use this one to advance your quest for the event. I will say most of the Death Knights are fine to just throw in any of these decks. So you could just cut something that seems boring, even if it's the Sunwell, you could cut that one, try out your Death Knight. Dragon Caster with dragons, so we can discount our Sunwell and play it for cheaper, so we get all those spells for cheaper. Since we're doing that anyway, and it's a Reno deck anyway, we have Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Luna's Pocket Galaxy benefits from you running mostly minions. So we have all of the minion generators for spells, which also means Book of Specters is going to be a lot easier to cast. So it's just like a traditional Reno Quest Mage, but with the Sunwell in it. Then we have Libram Paladin. So for Libram Paladin, I was thinking about like Prismatic Lens and stuff like that, but I couldn't think of something that would be good enough to be fun, with Prismatic Lens. It just all seemed like such garbage to me. Libram Paladin, I think, is exactly good enough to be fun. It's all Libram stuff. You got your consistent package of that, and you have your Sunwell to kind of refill, similar to how Liadrin and Lanessa give you some refill in the late game. You just get that extra card. It also, being a holy spell, discounts your Guardian's Grace. So, depending on how big your hand is at the time, of course. Prince Valinar, you have it for free. This deck didn't have a 4 cost in it, so why not just throw it in? You pop some Librams on this guy, he gets bigger. Try him out while he's free. Why not? Next up, we have Miracle Priest. This is actually a really silly deck. I thought it was going to be a little stupid, but it ended up being a lot of fun. If you remember, especially in Standard, people were running Nazmani Bloodweaver to discount your hand, and you can even play Malagos the Spellweaver on turn 4 or something like that to draw a bunch more spells. It's an APM Miracle deck. Okay, so the base strategy is Nazmani, and then you copy Nazmani with Vivid Nightmare and with Gift of Luminescence, and then every spell you play is discounting your hand by a ton. So it doesn't matter how high cost the Malagos is, it's going to be free, you're going to play it, you're going to fill your hand with a bunch of new spells to discount, and then you play all those and they discount each other for free. It's crazy. So in addition to the Malagos payoff, we also have the Sunwell payoff. It does the exact same thing for the exact same mana cost, with the added bonus of discounting itself as you play out your cards. The game I played of this today, I randomed myself to victory. It was glorious. You also have the Dragon Soul, which in a Miracle Priest deck is actually good. This isn't just a meme. This is in here because it's good. If you don't want to craft it, don't bother. If you don't want to if this idea doesn't super appeal to you and you don't want to craft the Dragon Soul, it's fine to play it without. But I would say if you want to play a serious Miracle Priest deck from now until forever, you will want this card. So Dragon Soul. Next up, we have Quest Thief Rogue. So Thief Rogue and Bazaar Burglary in general wants you to generate random spells, and the Sunwell generates a bunch of random spells. The Sunwell is also very expensive, so you can discount it with Swiftscale Trickster. So starting on turn 4, you can just jam Swiftscale Trickster, play the Sunwell for free, fill your hand with a bunch of spells, instantly activate the Bazaar Burglary, get your Hero Power Fiery War Axe online, and you're good to go. There's no Maestro in here. It is unnecessary and works against your Bazaar Burglary. Your Null is going to cost 0 without any help from Maestro. So that is the thought process there. It is really hard to come up with something for Shaman with the Sunwell, other than just jamming the Sunwell in a random Shaman deck. I couldn't think of anything better than this. So if you're a true memer, this is the one I recommend for you. The idea is Lightning Bloom and Overdraft, along with Kragwa and Macaw/Shudderwalk, adds a ton of spells to your hand over the course of turns to power up your Yogs with like that and the Sunwell to get big Yogs, then copy those Yogs with Shudderwalk and Macaw. Obviously, that's it's not going to happen for you every game, but The Shaman's like mid-rangey package of Murlocs is so good right now, you can actually set yourself up to be able to pull this off at least sometimes. And if you can't pull it off, you can set yourself up to just win anyway because the Murlocs are so good. So you got your Scargill, Gorlock Ravager, Ice Fishing, Clownfish, and then Flurgle, Toxfin. You just keep yourself in the game by getting your Murloc tempo out there the same way that Free Shaman does. And then if you're lucky, you can pull off the Lightning Bloom, Overdraft, Infinite Kragwa shenanigans. Not quite infinite, but enough to set up your Yoxorons. Next up, we have Handlock. So in addition to generating a bunch of spells, it also fills your hand, right? So Handlock. When you can play the Sunwell, you play it, and then suddenly an Etheron and Null cost 1, and your giant is easier to cast. We've gone with the Tome Tampering build for this. So we have Sense Demons to find Malchezaar's Imp. Malchezaar's Imp and an Etheron are the only demons in the deck. So when you draw Sense Demons, you're going to get a Malchezaar's Imp, and in all likelihood, you'll get an Etheron as well, which is good because an Etheron helps you with tempo while you're trying to set up your Tome Tampering, Malchezaar's Imp, and stuff. The beauty of Tome Tampering with these types of decks is 1 damage is enough for a free Molten, and 1 card in your hand is enough for a Mountain Giant. So if they're in your hand when you Tome Tamper, you just get to play them for free after as soon as you draw them. Sunwell fills your hand, you play stuff. It's got the Murloc package, just like all Warlocks do nowadays. And yeah, go nuts. Tome Tamper your way to a Sunwell. Finally, we have Odd Warrior. So this is a lot like the Odd Warriors I've been playing recently, except the Spice is actually the Sunwell. And I don't even think it's that bad. Odd Warrior just kind of needs some value later on in the game, and this is a lot of value, and it's odd. So you can run it, get a bunch of random spells later on in the game, and get some options to kind of close it out. Because we have this now, I've cut a lot of the like silly minions that we tend to run for the sake of value, and just like capitalize on the Sunwell. So I actually think that this is one of the most real applications for the Sunwell, which tells you something about the Sunwell, but yeah, so Odd Warrior, a lot more devoted to cards that actually interact with the board and interact with your opponent's hand than usual, because the Sunwell is going to be our Golden Monkey type card, your one of value card to give you something to do later on in the game. And plus we do still have the heroes in here if you need to give value that way. Odd Warrior with the Sunwell. That about wraps things up. I'm really excited for this new expansion. I'm excited to play with some Deathknights and whatnot in Standard. I think there's a lot of really cool things happening in Hearthstone right now or just around the corner. I hope you're excited too. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, and comment to encourage more Martian videos. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.